I think I'm a little bit stuck. Things are working, but I'm feeling like I need help.
What I see are two opportunities to really dial in on who you're attracting. If you have three ways to describe them, you're unstoppable. And then your other opportunity is
Wow, that's amazing because that's exactly what I needed. When I started, it was more of like, okay, I'm gonna have this place and then I will have my programming courses. And then I just got discouraged. And so I stopped literally for until I found you. Of course, online I was watching YouTube videos and I clicked and I started watching. I was like, oh wow, this is the person I was looking for. Right away, I just went and I joined your community.
you know what most people would have done? They would have just thrown it away and never given it a chance. And now you're
Right.
making several $100s a month in recurring revenue, and that's
Right.
something to build upon. Okay, first of all, Paolo, well, thanks for being in Arlen's All Access. And what I noticed about you, I noticed a couple of things. One is
Oh.
that you have been on the school platform for a while now. You've been on it for a little bit here. So, how did you find out about it and what made you want to jump in?
Let's see. I found out about it. I think it was just on YouTube, and it was something I always wanted to do, primarily because I teach online, and I've always wanted. I actually have tried before to do a community kind of for my students and everything, but it never worked. I tried Facebook. It failed, right? And so when I saw it, it was just instantaneously I realized, okay, this is what I've been looking for, and so I went ahead and jumped right in and I created my first community actually in February of this year.
Yes, so it's been several months, almost a year now you've had this membership. What is your membership about?
My membership is about, well, actually, this is a good question because when I started, it was more of like, okay, I'm going to have this place where everybody can come in and then I will have my programming courses, right? That didn't work at all because people were coming in from Udemy. I teach on Udemy and they're used to $9 courses very, cheaply and all this stuff. So they were just like, oh, it's just another place. And so I had a list of my students that I would kind of funnel them into my list. And so I would email them to say, hey, I'm opening up this new community and you can come in for free. So I got about 100 in about a day, right? I had 2,000 people in my emailing list. And that's where it stopped. I tried to get, I changed it to paid. Once I got the 100, I got two people. And then I just got discouraged, to be honest with you, because it's like, okay, this is not quite working. And so I stopped literally for until I found you.
Really?
Yes, because what happened was I said, okay, so I found you, of course, online. I was watching YouTube videos and I saw you and I clicked and I started watching. I was like, oh wow, this is the person I was looking for. I connect right away. I just went and I joined your community. And what really allowed me to do was to kind of hone in on the what do I have it open here because I take notes on the UVP, unique
Yeah.
value proposition. That was the thing that made me realize, okay, wait a minute here. I need to really think about this. And that's exactly what ignited everything.
Wow, so what is your membership now and how does it go?
Right. Now it's about how to build AI solutions to solve real world use cases, real world problems. So people come in and say, I have a business, or people have business X, Y, and Z. How do I use AI with coding skills to build AI solution? That's all it's about. And it's been great.
Wow, so how many members do you have now? And it's paid now?
Now it's paid. Now I have on top of the 100 free, I have about 20 more. Yes, it's 20. Yes, they're paid. They're all paid. So
What's your price point?
okay, so I started with 27 a
Mhm.
month. And then after I had six or five, I jumped to 29.99. I know that's a very small, but I just want to test things out. And
Mhm.
that's when things started getting interesting because I don't know what happened, but I think people start seeing a little bit more of like, okay, now it's $29, was 27. Maybe something is okay. I need to jump into this. So,
Yeah.
and I got probably six people. And then I put to, I think it was 37,
Mhm.
and then I got I think five or six more, and then now it's 39 a month. So, and I
That's so
have
great.
three, something like that.
That's great that we talk about that a lot in Arlen's All Access about testing pricing, having that free membership, and then use one of the pathways on a free membership is that you then turn it into a paid membership. So there are three
Right.
major pathways. One of those pathways is free turned into paid because you're
Right.
building all that value with the free members, and then
Right.
you're able to charge. And that becomes recurring monthly revenue, which is so, so powerful.
Right.
And you think it's great that you stuck it out, because you know what most people would have done? They would have just completely left. They would have just thrown it away and never given it a chance. And now you're
Right.
making several $100s a month in recurring revenue, and that's
Right.
something to build upon. So what is your plan moving forward? And yeah, what do you think you'll do in the next steps?
Well, my next steps, I need to hone in my funnel, right? So I
Mhm.
have a YouTube channel. That's where most people come from. And I also have, of course, my Udemy business courses. And so what I do for on Udemy side of things, at the end of every course, I tell people, hey, if you want, actually, I don't tell them much. All I do, I said, if you want to get in touch with me, just here's the email or a link where you can click and then be part of my mailing list of some sort.
Yeah.
And then once they come in, that's when I welcome them and I have a link right away to say, hey, by the way, if you want to learn more about AI, how to build AI solutions, you should join this. And so I have a sequence that takes them through. And
Yeah.
that's just something that's it's working, right? Now
Yeah.
on my YouTube, I create content, and in the middle of the content, sometimes I just present very, very smoothly, very nicely, nothing, forceful. And I just tell them about this community. I have a little demo, and then I tell them, hey, in the links in the description, you can go and find the link to join this community. Now,
Mm.
this one thing I've done also, I think this is going to be helpful, is that I contacted one of the biggest. It's called Free Camp Code. I think that's what it's
Mhm.
called. And they had 10.1 million members, million subscribers, right? And so I contacted them to say, hey, I have courses. I can build you a 1 to 2 hour course where you can post on your YouTube, and it's going to be free, obviously, for your members. And they're like, great. So I did that. Arlen, I'm telling you, I've gotten so much. And so, okay, what I did was I posted that and then I created a lead magnet. So to say, okay, this course was about, this is geeky, okay? So I apologize, but it was about creating using large language models, AI, essentially to build these tools, right? And so, but very beginning stages, so fundamentals. And so what I did was I said, okay, what would be something helpful to somebody who wants to learn about these things, this building AI, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, what would be really helpful for somebody is to have some sort of like a starter package, right? To say, okay, how do I get started? So I literally put together a PDF file with code and everything to say, hey, this is just a starter package for you. You can get that for free. And so I'm getting emails. I'm telling you, I, I mean, I think I'm getting 20 to 30 to 50 people every day. I mean, the
Yeah.
video has gone up, was up a week ago, and I have about 60,000 views on their, um,
Mhm.
channel, and it's working perfectly. So that's the thing.
So you have them go, they exchange their email for that
Or
fee. And then do
yes,
you nurture that? Do you, because you're talking about your funnel, which we can talk about, but do you nurture that and send them, hey, go into my membership?
I do. Yes, I do. I do. I have the whole sequence for that one. I have about three. I'm going to be adding more. The first one is very nice. Of course, welcome. Here's your package. And at the bottom, I just say, hey, there's this community. Nothing, pressure, no pressure. You can join if you want to learn more. Nothing. And then 2 days later, I have another email. I give them value. Say, oh, by the way, this is the video. So I usually what I do, I have videos that I record in my community where I'm teaching something very simple. Say, okay, I built X, Y, and Z. I'm going to show you, do a code walkthrough and how this works. And
Mhm.
then, but that's a teaser. So I take that teaser and I put in the email and I say, by the way, this is what we built today in
Yeah,
our community. And so if you want to be part of it, this is exactly what
yeah,
we're doing
very
here.
smart.
Right.
So
So
talk a little bit more about the community itself. Help me understand a little bit better the transformation.
well, the transformation, that's what I'm still working on. And I did listen to you very clearly when you talked about it's important to listen to the community members so you know what exactly what they want. Because that's
Mhm.
the problem, especially for me, is that I have this tendency of thinking, well, because I know these skills, I have these skills, and I have this knowledge, that is what they want. I mean, sometimes, but most of the time it's like, no, I actually want this, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm kind of working on right now. And I think I'm a little bit stuck. Things are working, but I'm feeling like I need help with trying to figure out
Yeah.
what is transformation because I don't have the okay, in 30 days, you're gonna be
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
that.
And
So I
I
don't
think
know
if
how to
you
put
had that,
Mhm.
then what the foundation you've built would really explode now. The flywheel would be very, very robust. So let's talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
Right now, if I were to join your membership and I go into your classroom, what do I see?
Well, you see, they start here. Thank you. Where I explain to them about the community, blah, 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 all that. And then I call it the first win. So essentially is I want you to come in and build your very first chatbot with code. It's very, very simple. Anybody can do it. That is what you see. And then I have other classes, classrooms where I talk about the basics of AI. It's a little bit more involved, if I may say. So
Mhm.
that's what we have.
Yeah. So what I see are two opportunities. I think that's a great foundation, especially that first win. That's a really
Okay.
key. I think your opportunities are to really dial in on who you're attracting, who this is helpful to, and how these automations, these AI tools can help that group the most, the quickest. So you're in the great introductory of it, but if you were to be able to niche down to say it affects and helps these specific people,
Mhm.
and if you have one way to describe them, that's great. If you have two ways to describe them, that's even better, right? That's even stronger. That probably 2x's your income. If you have
Mhm.
three ways to describe them, you're unstoppable.
Okay.
So I would dial in, and it may not be that you stay there the whole time or that that's the winner, but I would start to think through of the people, for instance, who have paid to be there or who are there for free,
Mhm.
what do they have in common?
And
What are they? Like, is it a group of people? Do they have the same type of company? Are they all employees? Are they all beginners? Do they have some other expertise? Like, are they all dentists, and there's
right,
something they need to learn how to use AI to bring more customers in? Are they all beginner, early stage founders of companies and they don't have a lot of money? They have a
Mhm.
little bit of money to spend, but they're willing to put in the hours to cut out dot dot dot. Are they people who are looking for more leads, more customer leads? And therefore, if they learned how to automate more things, they could build more leads into their offer.
Okay.
These are examples of what that answer is. You get one answer, okay, they're this type of person, or they have this type of company, or this stage. Then you add on, and to top it off, they all seem to be from 20 to 30 years old, or they all seem to be in the US, or they all seem to be where they travel several times a year for work. Again, these are examples.
Right.
If you can have one plus two, and then that third one is like that's like advanced. If you can get
Wow.
there one day, you'll be golden. But get those first two.
Okay.
If you dial in on who they are, you may already start thinking, oh, actually, I can see what they have in common, or what interests they have in common,
Right.
or what other type, like they're coming from your Udemy a lot. They're coming from these courses. They're all
Right.
taking these courses. What do you, what would have attracted them to it? The
Right.
information. You could even put on right now a post, what attracted you to this membership? Do a survey. How many times do you travel, or are you using AI for marketing, for lead generation, for conversion, to make your life easier, faster,
Right.
for email nurturing? Like, start to dial into what that is. And then your other opportunity is just simply to have something that is very clear about what will happen for them if they join
Mhm.
your membership. Really, really clear. And I know that's the tough part, but once you figure out the first part, that becomes easier. So for you, when did you get into AI?
About 2.5 years ago.
Okay, so
Yes.
you 2.5 years ago, what drew you to AI?
Wow. I mean, for me, it was the automation and the capability of leveraging AI to businesses so they can automate things. That was the main thing for me.
Leveraging business, did you use it in your business?
Yes, in fact, I am a content creator and I have scripts, I have things that I've built myself that automate a lot of my workflows, really.
So that's really specific and really interesting.
Right.
If you think about people who are content creators
Hmm.
or people who need content, business owners, executives, etc. If they need content, but one of their biggest problems is they don't have enough time to keep up with all the content that you have to make in order to really make a dent.
Right.
Because you can use content, but there's a lot of content that you have to put together.
Right.
So what if you said you posed it as that, but then you said, I can help you cut that into 10%, like 10% effort to
Hmm.
get the same output. Or said another way, you can spend 3 hours a month and get your whole month's worth of content. And you just say it kind of broadly,
Right.
and then you teach them how inside of it.
Wow. So one thing that's amazing because that's exactly what I needed. And one thing I've been doing for each member that comes in, I actually I have Loom an account and I take my phone and I record a welcome thing. And then for some of them, I actually invite them for a quick call.
Mhm.
And it's amazing how, and I do ask them, say, hey, so tell me more about you. And all of them come from different things. So I have a guy who works for in the oil industry in Norway and
Mhm.
he is an engineer. So what he wants to do, he wants to build certain tools that he can go present to his boss. So then maybe he can create a SaaS out of it. And I
Yeah.
get all of that. Most of these people who want to actually build something to go sell. So sort of like do a SaaS thing they want.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hearing a lot
Yeah.
recurringly.
Well, there you go. You've just dialed in on two major ways you could go. One is for content, but this other one is I want to take my idea and turn it into a SaaS product.
Mm, there we go.
So, save $60,000 on hiring somebody to make an app for you, essentially, right? Save
Right.
$50,000. I can help you here. And what it does is when these calls you're talking about, talk about a lot about that in Arlen's All Access, where you get on these calls with your members and you see if you can help them even further. Maybe you do a do it for you service, or you
Right.
do a coaching service or something like that. So that can even lend itself to actually I will do a service for you, right? Like at some
Right.
point down the line, which is in the uh, thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars. But to start with, that's a really good thread to start with. Is
Okay.
to say when like imagine doing a video
Hmm.
on YouTube where you talk about you name it right, have the right thumbnail for it, and you talk about how someone can take use AI to take go from just having an idea, because so many people have ideas, right?
Right.
Go from having an idea to actually having something that you can work with, or that you can prototype,
Right.
whatever that sequence is that
Right.
you're describing. And I can show you how to do that. And the key to it is show someone in a sentence that you can help, not how, but that you can help them save.
Okay.
If yours, you don't want to put the price exactly in your video because it's going to change probably,
Right.
but you're
Right.
saying for just a few dollars per month, or just a few dollars per month, I will help you save tens of thousands of dollars, or I will help you save 6 months of time.
Of time. Oh, wow.
These things
That's
will really, translate, because the calls you've been having are so important. Most people skip the calls. The
mm,
calls you've been having, they skip them if they don't think they're going to make money from them.
right.
They're so valuable because you're extracting the information that's telling you This is what people want. This is where they
Mhm.
find me. And going back to that original thing of where were you 2.5 years ago? What drew you in? What have you learned and been able to do in these 2.5 years with AI?
Mm. Right.
Tell that story to the audience. But you have to dial in on who that audience is, because if you try to just go to everybody and hope that they understand how they can use your services, it's just going to be so difficult
Right.
to get everybody to understand it. So you may lose some people because you get so niche, but you'll
Mm.
be able to laser target people.
Mm. So, wow, thank you. That's very helpful. And so for me, that's the problem. Well, the thing now for me, it's like, so the people who like to code, like me, we just love to go and code stuff, right? But also I'm noticing there's two venues here. There's people like me who like to code, and most of the people that come to me, they're the coders people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there are people like, great, this is wonderful, Paolo. Wonderful, thank you. However, is there a way that you can teach me how to do the same thing with no code? Because now we have the no code tools that
Mhm,
essentially automate a lot of things. You can find a
mhm,
lot of tools there,
mhm.
platforms and so forth. And there's the code. So now I'm like, okay, I don't want to add too much into the plate, right? And so do I offer as well, both of them, the kind of code option and no code option into the community? Or am
How
I
many,
just
what are more people saying? Are
more
they
people? Well, more people are saying, I just want to learn how to do. I do value this no code thing, but I really want to also hone in into this. What are you doing? Which is, let's learn how to actually use code and AI put together and build something.
I would do what more people are asking for,
Yeah.
and especially because it feels so genuine to you.
Right.
And then you could easily have a passive option in your classroom
Okay.
that is, here's a no code, here's a no code version, and maybe it's an upsell.
Mm.
Like here's a no code mini course or a full on course. Like here's a no code version because you don't necessarily want to pivot everything over there.
Right.
But you can have it as an option, and you can and people who want to spend more on it can spend more on it.
Perfect. That's perfect.
So
You
that'll be
said,
what you do the rest of the month is figure out who you're targeting, really get that avatar together. There's an exercise that I just went through on Nathan Barry's. He's the founder of ConvertKit, and he had an episode in his podcast that I just went through over the holiday. And essentially, the expert that he had on just helped really dial in more and more and more on where were you 5 years ago? What could have helped you 5 years ago? What does this offer? Not just the features, what the transformation is that we
mm,
talk so much about, right? What is the pain that the person is in right now? And what painkiller do you offer?
oh,
What will they be able to do if they're in your membership? And if you can articulate that, like, here's what I would do. Write out a story. You describe your target person, give them a name, describe them. What does their day look like? What does their pain point look like? All of that. Then
okay.
write out what your solution does to help. Like, how does it help and what's the different change? Then
Okay.
plug that into a Chat GPT or wherever you use that is like that, and ask it to give you 1,000 characters or fewer, including spaces, that is for your school about page based on what you just described. That would be compelling to that person.
Okay.
And then that output could be quite interesting. I wouldn't do it word for word, but I would
Right.
use it as inspiration. And this is to help everybody watching this.
Okay.
That you go through this process of who is that person? Russell Brunson says that when he was really having a breakthrough, he's the founder of ClickFunnels, does
Mhm.
100 million plus per year now. But when he was having a breakthrough, what helped him get his ideal client instead of just any old client was that he went to Google and he started to describe the person he had in mind. Now with AI, we can do an even better
Oh yeah.
job of that.
Right.
And then he printed out a male version and a female version of that avatar, and he put it on his wall. And every time he did a video, every time he did a presentation, he created a webinar, a pitch deck, he had that person literally in front of him. I do that mentally, but again, that's one way you can do it if that, that extra step helps.
Oh, that's perfect. That's really perfect. And because I know I see that I'm sitting literally on a gold mine. And the thing is, I actually enjoy what I do, right? So there's no sense like, oh, I gotta do this. I love it. It really fits in with what I've been doing, and I'm so fortunate to be able to
Yeah.
do this. And one thing you ask a question about what is this reoccurring thing that I hear from the people who follow me, my students and everything. Why do they essentially follow me or come to me, right? And one thing, that they keep saying, because I'm curious too, is like, so why are you here?
Mhm.
And they say, it's so humbling. They say, I just enjoy and love the way you explain things.
Mhm.
Every person, and it's so hard to, to not say that with that chip in,
No,
but
that's fine, but it's
it
what they said, right?
that's what to say.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I mean, okay, that's great. Now what do I do with it? I mean, it's wonderful.
Mhm.
And so that is the recurring theme. And so for me, it's like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I'm so glad that I'm here. And so for me now it's a matter of like, how can I give value? How can I obviously monetize this? And things are working, but I just, like you said, I need to hone in. I took notes. I take a lot of notes, trying to figure out, okay, who is this audience? Who's this one person that I can speak to and really hone into that and just get that very focused.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep us posted. Let us know how that's going in the membership, and definitely, keep sharing that journey,
Okay.
because you're a really great student in that you're implementing, you're experimenting, and like your students say, your clarity is so great. Use that ability that you have
Okay.
to communicate why people should come in. Because you're able,
Ah,
once they're in, you're able to
right.
communicate to them so
Right.
well and help
Yes.
them. Use that
Right.
same skill to help them come in to the door.
Oh, wow. That's so good. Yes. Yeah. That is, yes. Oh, wow. Ah, yeah.
Okay, I wish you the best of luck, and I'm so excited to have you inside the membership. Let's keep it going.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This was so helpful. I appreciate it, Ira. Thank you. Thank
See
you.
you later.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.